Good. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. Where are you calling from?
I'm in the Valley.
Oh, okay, we're very close.
Oh, I'm in Encino.
You're in Encino? Okay, no, I'm not that close, but I'm in like Glendale area.
Okay.
Yeah.
The more peaceful side of
The
town.
more peaceful side, exactly. Yeah.
Yes. So tell me about making this film, because you're a filmmaker. You were born from Argentina, but
Yeah.
you've been out here in the States. So I feel like you were pretty fond of your motherland.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I'm Argentinian. I think that's what my identity is. And although I spent like, maybe half of my life outside of Argentina, it's just, it informs so much of who I am, and I'm so proud of it that I really wanted my first film to be an Argentinian film.
It's interesting because you have like a little bit of religion, you have a little bit of myth, a little bit of magic. But the part that attracted me more is the religion part with its humor. So
Yeah.
tell me about being the writer of the story.
Yeah, I mean, I think the I always wanted a film that was playful and fun and something that my grandma could enjoy. And this is a world that I knew very well, that I spent a lot of summers and winters doing like missionary work as when I used to be Catholic. I would travel to this small town and be with this particular demographic of elderly women, because they were the only ones who really cared to talk with the missionaries. Everybody else wasn't really interested at all. So it's a group that I knew really, really well. I found them to be so funny, like and so charming, and so also they had so many stories to tell that I thought like if I could make my first feature about them, I could have a blast because I have so much affection for them. That so that's kind of where it stems. It's not really, I don't think it's about making fun of anybody. It's about finding humor in the absurdities that we do as human beings.
Yeah, definitely no making fun. It was respectful. I'm Catholic. I was raised Catholic.
Yeah,
My mom was did this had always had these youth groups for senior citizens for youth.
right,
So
right.
I grew up with all that, and so definitely did not find it disrespectful.
Yeah, so but you understand the movie on a different level if you're Catholic. I think a lot of the meanings just it just takes even more layers, I'm assuming for you.
It does. And, it just kind of makes you always wonder, about the afterlife.
Yeah.
And our goal is to live life to eventually get to cross. For me, it was always like crossing that lake. That's why you also have to be good with all your pets and any animals because they're the
Yeah,
ones that are
yeah.
going to help you cross, right? To go.
Oh, wow, that's cool. I never thought of it as a lake. I really like that.
That's what I got from my mother.
Yeah, that's great though. I see it's like different variations of like a similar theme, you know?
Well, there we go with the myth. That's one.
Yeah.
And you have some myths in there in your film.
Yeah, the biggest myth that I'm using in there is like a folk, it's a rural folk story, that's called La Luz Mala, which means the bad light. And it's a myth where people in, this region in Argentina in general, this agricultural region is called La Pampa, Argentina. It's like a very like they're like plains, right? So you can see very, very far into the distance. And at night, when it's quiet and like in the middle of the night, sometimes you can see like a bright flash of light from the distance. And people have always told stories about what that is. And they said it was always said it was like a wandering soul, you know? And so that was really I always really loved that image of this like soul wandering around at night, like flashing light. And I found that image really, really exciting to just kind of bring into a story and even find humor in it as well.
Is that why you thought of the light for one of the characters?
Yeah, well, that's it. I think it's just different now that we're talking about variations on a theme. Now that we're using light as a storytelling device, how many different variations, like how can I riff off of that theme, you know? And then one way was to almost do it literally, right? So that there is a person who was a light, who was a light bulb, and they're going to be stuck for all eternity as a light bulb. And what would their life be as a light bulb? And they become friends with the moth, and they're just, exchanging gossip about what's going on the other side of town, because the light bulb can't move, but the moth can. But the problem is that the moth can get burnt by the light bulb, if it gets too close. So it's like one of those friendships where, you have to be careful because you also don't want to get hurt.
It had so much good humor in that scene that I didn't expect. And another thing is that I feel like we get like two films in one. I seriously thought that the film was over for a minute. And I was like, I swear I thought it was like the minutes were longer. I was like, the movie just flew by quick, but I left it because I liked the song.
Yeah.
And I loved that scene in the car, that joyful scene, like I got it, I'm accomplishing my mission, and then whoa, that I was not expected.
That's good. Well, I mean, that was kind of a big risk that we took. It was a gamble, but hopefully the idea is for you to watch a movie and feel something completely unexpected and find it exciting, that a movie could do something unexpected and still keep you involved. That was what we were trying to do the most, is to also mirror what she would feel in that moment.
Now tell me about the actress that you have playing Rita, Monica Villa.
Monica is an Argentinian icon. So we were super, super fortunate that she said yes to the project. And honestly, working with her has been like one of the best experiences as a director that I've ever had in my life, if not the very best, because first of all, she's like in this incredible moment of her career where she's accumulated all this experience and all this like artistry, all this talent like over so many years developed, and so you get to work with somebody who is like a complete master of their craft. And I'm a baby, right? Like it's my first movie. Like I have no idea what I'm doing. So I walk in there and she gives me this vote of confidence, and we create like a trust between us and we start to work. And she really lets me into her process. And we build something together. And so for me that was really special. And I'm just always going to be super, super grateful for her having said yes to the project, even though there was a lot of crazy ideas in there and I hadn't a lot to show for myself before.
Wow, that's amazing. Have you showed it in Argentina?
Not yet. I mean, no, not yet, actually. No, we haven't shown it yet. We're planning to show it a little bit later this year, and we're going to release it there in theaters as well.
Which one of the scenes was one of the most challenging for you as a, new director?
I would the first one that comes to mind, and it's probably going to be like maybe people won't expect me saying this, is just shooting the dogs walking. Uh, Dogs are really difficult. You think it's going to be easy because you're like, I just need to get this dog to walk calmly from point A to point B. But dogs they don't know that they're in a movie. They're just walking around. So then they get distracted, they start sniffing, or it's like you call them and they run. And so you have to do like a million takes and you start to lose your day and you realize that what you thought was going to be easy actually turned out to be really, really hard because dogs they won't listen to you. They're just doing their own thing. So I would say like all the dog scenes were some of the hardest things to pull off. Um, and then the lightning sequence, I think, was also a challenge to pull off to make sure that it would work because being a very small independent film, like we don't have the means to create these. In larger, more industrial shoots, they have like lightning machines. They're humongo lights that take up a ton of power, but we didn't have that, so we had to make do with what we had and then make it really work in the edit and with the sound design as well. So that was really challenging, but it was a really exciting challenge to have.
Can you tell me about the second part and improvise? Was there an improvising for any of the characters that come in as part of the transition?
I don't I don't really think there was a lot of improvisation, to be completely honest. I think a lot of the actors maybe will tweak certain parts to make it feel more like their own, or make it kind of um, come out a little bit more smoothly, just because it feels better for them. But there actually wasn't a lot of improv. It was really just kind of working within the construct of the script, and maybe adding like a flourish here and there.
I actually enjoyed those parts too, because I was like, wow, imagine if heaven is that advanced too, just like we are over here,
Yeah.
with
Yeah, exactly.
technology.
Yeah, it would be great.
Yeah, that was great humor. But let's talk about what messages you hope this film gets people to take away with them, because there were several, and something that today we can all relate: acknowledgement, getting noticed,
Yeah.
and forgetting to just appreciate the things we do have.
Well, I mean, I think you said it, those are definitely things that I was feeling as I was writing and directing the movie, but I really try not to think about giving the audience a message per se, because I feel like that would put me maybe more in like the commercial business, or more of like the even the public service announcement business, where it's like, don't do drugs, it's like that's a message, right? But here it feels more of like an exploration, and hopefully like, and this is something like a really great teacher of mine always said, is like, it's not about giving people an answer, it's about making them ask the right questions. And that's kind of what I'm hoping to do with the movie, is that you walk away and you're just relating it to your own life. Everybody will have a different answer. I think that's the beauty of it. My job is to start the movie, and the audience's job is to finish it for me. And I
Wow,
think
that's a
that's
good
the
answer.
yeah, I mean, but that's also something a teacher of mine, I can't take the credit. A really good teacher of mine said it as well. So I think that's kind of how I like this to see the audience experience at the end of a film.
Out of my 12 years of doing interviews, no one's answered that.
Wow, really? That's cool.
Yeah, that's why I'm like,
Well, I can't take credit. I'm not. It's definitely my teacher, Rob Spira, who was an incredible mentor.
oh,
That's
that's
that's who
awesome.
we owe this to.
Wow. Well, you know what? That says also how humble you are.
Thank you.
Now, I'm just curious, if do you believe that there is like an afterlife where we're still transitioning? I mean, you've
I
mentioned you're now no longer Catholic, so.
I'm not, no, what I would describe myself as agnostic, so that for me, it's kind of be existing in the space of uncertainty where anything is possible. So it's like, for me, it's equally possible that nothing happens, or that we go to another place, or that this was all a simulation, or it's since I don't have like any real claims on the I have no idea, I've never died before, I think. So I can't tell people what to think, and therefore I don't even know what to think, but existing in that uncertainty is kind of magical, I think. And that's kind of where I'm at, so it could be, hopefully, I don't know, we have no clue.
I believe. The house I grew up in, we had issues with our television and our stereos always going up volume, going down. We thought it was
Really?
something with our power. And then, long story short, later we found out that the family that lived there, their son was sick and died.
Oh, wow.
So then when my mom, she's religious, she's like,
Yeah.
oh, es su alma, his soul's here. He's the one that's messing with us. So then we
Wow.
grew up just telling him, like, okay, turn off the TV, or just
That's
like
amazing.
we would
That's
talk to
magical
him.
realism right there.
We
Right,
would just
right
talk
there.
to him.
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if it was true or not, that it was him, like my mom says, but we just kind of learned to live with it.
That's beautiful. That's a movie right there, I have to say. I would watch that movie. I would find it like fascinating. Like asking the kid to turn up the volume. I think that's incredible. That belongs in a Garcia Marquez book, and it's great. And that's a ghost story, that's how especially like a lot of Latin Americans experience ghost stories in this way, not in the traditional, like ghosts of Christmas past, kind of sense. And this is a different experience, and I can relate to that very much.
At first, it creeped me out because I was young, and then she was like,
Yeah.
you got to understand, you can't be afraid of the dead. You got to be afraid of those alive. And so that stuck to me. So I was like,
Wow.
words of wisdom. You're right.
Yeah, and to this day, look, like we're still talking about it. It's crazy.
Yeah, if you think about it, it's creepy. But then for me, growing up, it was like
It
nothing.
wasn't. It was normal, right?
Yeah. Well, sorry for taking so much of my personal experience
No,
time.
this is great. This is a great conversation.
But to wrap up, what else do you have going on? I mean, we know this is going to be releasing in New York on the 28th, here
Yes.
in LA on July 5th. But I'm pretty sure you have, with this great experience, you have more coming up that you may be working on.
I'm definitely working on a couple of scripts. I'm hoping to shoot something sometime next year. And in the meantime, my production company, Plenty Good, is will be releasing probably later this year our next film. And that's a really, really fun game show heist film. And it's directed by my friend Samir Oliveros. And it stars Paul Walter Hauser, and an incredible cast, like a really incredible stacked cast. So I would say be on the lookout for that movie because it's so much fun. And hopefully it'll be in theaters later this year or early next year.
Well, that's great. Congratulations. Maybe we get to talk about them later on.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope so.
Sounds good. Well, thank you again for your time. Congratulations with this one, and I wish you lots of success in the near
Thank you,
future.
Nancy. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. Un gusto.
Un gusto. Ciao.
Ciao. Bye bye.